All right, good afternoon, evening, everyone. Those that aren't snowed in, you'll be listening to this when your internet comes back on, so that's wonderful to hear. This is, of course, TGT Media, the Entertainment Industry Interview Podcast, where we interview the creative minds from the entertainment industry, and of course, I'm your host, Kurt. We are joined today by, this is a first, maybe not, I don't know, but we have a wonderful person. He is, of course, the CEO, co-founder of a site I'm sure that you're all well aware of. It is, of course, Mangamagazine.net. We are joined today by victorchu. How are you doing today, Victor?
I'm doing good. I'm about to get snowed in here in Boston, but so far so good.
Good to hear. Well, I'll be knocking on your door when I trudge through with my Huskies or whatever if I ever visit Boston. When I first heard about Mangamagazine.net, it was actually not necessarily from one of your forum moderators who mentioned it to me. This was, of course, by a past guest, Shireen, who was on the show a couple of weeks back. She had nothing but wonderful things to say about your company and about, of course, your wonderful business you have. But for those that have never actually been to Mangamagazine.net, what the heck is it all about?
Sure. We're a platform for artists, essentially. We're a platform to help webcomic, web manga artists publish their content, reach an audience base, and for the key part is to help them monetize what they have. There's a lot of great content out on the web. There's a lot of really talented artists that are just not getting the opportunities to showcase their work. And more importantly, for an individual artist out there right now, there's just so many things you have to do. You have to maintain your social presence. You have to create Kickstarters. You have to maintain a presence on forums. You have to write blogs. You have to run activities. You have to manage your website. There's just so many things on a day-to-day basis that are keeping artists so busy that when really they should just be worrying about their art. They should be worrying about their story. And so what we're trying to do with Manga Magazine is to create a platform that simplifies as much of this as we can. So hosting. We have a community team that helps promote great series. We've created a pool of money essentially that we give to our authors based on the traffic they bring in to also help them support their lifestyle. And lastly, we also have a whole bunch of services that we're currently ramping up. Book printing, for example. So for our top artists, we're helping them do print on demand so that we can help them sell books essentially. They just let us take care of the book printing, and then we just have a very clear arrangement where they get a cut of sales. So the idea is just to make the life of an artist easy with this platform. And that's why they would join us. We don't sign any contracts. We don't sign any deals. We don't require any rights. Just think YouTube. You can upload your stuff and work with us. And if you don't like it, you can move on, No harm, no foul.
Which is surprising to hear, especially in a business that you have. And to be so open, to be so honest, and to be, for lack of a better word, caring about the artist. I mean, for a magazine company such as yourself, it's refreshing to finally see that you actually care about the artists in this type of business venture.
Yeah, I mean, our thought is if we care about the artists will care about the readers. I mean, when you have a 90-page document that outlines what you can or can't do with the company and what you can't, that you should do on the web and things like that, it just becomes stifling. And, our thought is, especially with the way digital publishing is today, if we help somebody succeed, you'll build loyalty with them. You know that we want to help you succeed. We want to take care of you. And so that means as things grow, we're obviously going to grow with you. So yeah, we always thought that an engaged artist is going to be somebody that a reader will really like, instead of a guy that shows up once in a while to a book signing or things like that.
Well, talk about yourself then, because
sure.
You look like a young guy. You look like you have a lot of energy and passion for what you do here. This is not a very forgiving business, though.
I agree.
I'm expecting more gray hairs that I can't quite see from my camera. But
that's the light. I definitely have quite a few gray hairs. I think my camera is giving me more credit than I should. I mean, I actually come from a technology background, so I've always been a huge comic and manga fan. I've read it since I was young, and then I worked in technology, and so has my co-founder Bansha worked in technology, and that's where we're coming from. Which is we're not trying to be the editorial genius to find the next, to pick out of a crowd this one talented artist that we think will be the most amazing person and push it out. So we're not doing a sort of what the typical publishing house does, which is to say, I think this person is going to be great, and I'm going to spend $1 million to market them. Instead, we're trying to offer the services, the technology behind that will make life easier for an artist. So, my co-founder Bonch is from Amazon. I used to work in quite a few startups in the Bay Area. I've also worked in consulting for very large companies. But both of us come from a very strong technology background, and that's what we focus on for Mangamagazine.net.
So then, what personal challenges have you had to go through then to make this a successful company?
You mean surviving in the publishing industry?
Besides that's kind of a given.
I mean, the webcomic and web manga industry is really the biggest challenge is about credibility, I think. It's the easiest answer for an artist is always to just maintain their own website. It's to do their own thing and just do things slower, do things easier. So the challenge has always been to convince authors that we are really here to help them out. We are really here to, we have a value add that we're trying to make their life better and trying to make their life easier, whether it be helping, on a day-to-day basis, helping them create new advertisements or helping them, prepare their book for printing or whatever it may be. So that's always been the challenge because, a lot of the artists just go, you know what, I'll just create, www.tgtmedia.com or tgt, or www.mangamagazine.com and just do that and not have to deal with any other outside parties and just move at your own pace. And so we've worked really hard to to build up this reputation and credibility that we are really here to help artists out and we really do help, accelerate the pace of what you're trying to achieve, accelerate the reach of the fans that you're bringing and getting the attention you get.
So then, specifically though, I mean, you have a great collection of manga artists, a great collection of amazing stories as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I love seeing that you're focused on a genre that can sometimes feel oversaturated. How do you, keep yourself interested in this business, even though obviously you enjoy manga and all that?
How do I keep myself interested? Well, maybe it sounds kind of corny, but it's just seeing things happen seeing change on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we're still a really young company. The site's been around for, a little over 2 years, but we've only really been fully at this for about a year now. Having a real team, having funding, doing the things that we've always wanted to do with this site. So it's really exciting, even on a week-to-week basis, seeing the changes that we can make, rolling out the services that we want. So maybe it's just me, but I just like seeing things getting done and offering new things and trying new exciting things with our site. I mean, digital publishing is still such an unknown realm. There's so many ways that an author can succeed right now, and there's no clear-cut way to succeed yet, that we think that there's a lot of things we can try. And so, constantly planning new features, new ideas, new projects with our community managers, our development team it's for me at least, it's really exciting. It's just seeing these new things happen.
So then, there are a lot of companies similar to yours. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry if I burst your bubble on that.
No. Yeah.
How are you trying to set yourself apart from the rest of the herd?
Great question.
As a business, though.
We are not what's the best way to put it? We are completely dedicated to the webcomics and manga industry. And specifically, we are looking to make it offer services that no other site can offer to help an author succeed and to build up their base. So specifically, we are one of the few sites on the web that pay our top artists, and in sizable portion. We have a $20,000 pool we pay every month to our top premium artists. We have a team behind me that helps our artists with graphic design. We're actively working on book printing right now. So we're at least we like to believe that we're one of the only sort of full service platforms out there that's going to constantly be looking for ways to help an artist with the day-to-day things that they really don't want to be focusing on, and instead just to focus on their art. So whether it be creating advertisements, preparing books for printing, dealing with customer support and fulfillment, these are things that we're always trying to innovate and build out on. Compared to, there are a lot of sites out there that's just our hosting sites. You just post your stuff on there, people come to it, they don't come to it, whatever they want. That's what the typical competitor we've seen, or the typical sort of people out there. And those people are definitely playing towards the advertisement space, and that's not something we're working as hard towards because we just don't think the numbers just don't make sense in our mind yet. It'd be great if we had 1 billion people visiting us every month, and if we were a deviant art, we'd be happy to set up an advertising program and be able to, just make everything free on our site and give away great promotions. But we haven't seen yet the sort of the trending where you can actually do this yet, where you can just say, I'm just going to get the most possible users ever, and I'll just offer advertising, and somehow that's going to work. It's just we haven't seen that work yet. It's about helping authors. It's about helping authors and giving them what they need to be able to deliver great stuff to their readers.
So then, how has Mangamagazine been marketing itself, since you don't really market the artists?
If we don't market the artists, sorry, maybe I.
Sorry, let me rephrase. I have a habit of doing that. You say you're not really relying on advertising per se, but
got it. Sorry, just to clarify. So when you look at a website, right, that has comics on it right now, there's really sort of 2 or 3 business models that currently exist. You have one, which is that they're completely free, and they have advertisements, and they rely on traffic to make money, essentially. So a lot of our competitors we've seen do that. We don't think that in itself is a viable business yet. The numbers don't make sense. Mm-hmm. 2 is to be a pure subscription site. You just block everything, and more mature audience content tends to do that, where you have to pay $15.99 a month to be able to read what's on there. And then lastly, it's people who sell merchandise. Mm-hmm. So we're leaning towards the latter. That's what we're doing differently. So we advertise our authors like crazy. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
If you come to our site, you won't see a ton of advertisements on it, and for the reason that it's just something we know it's not going to work anytime soon yet. So we'll probably put some on because a lot of people keep asking us about it, but it's less about actually viably making a business off of that, and more of just to show that we're actually listening to our users and doing it.
All right. Speaking of listening to users, obviously you have a great community. You have some amazing community. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No. I was just saying they are amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that they heard that as well. With that type of community that you have, obviously, moderating forums is a pain in the butt. Dealing with the various suggestions of other people, you seem like you're a very open company, open to suggestions. However, have there ever been suggestions where you think there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to do that?
Oh, there's tons of those. I mean, we get tons of suggestions. I mean, I think it's about just being honest and setting expectations. I mean, if you go to our forum, I actively participate in the comments and suggestions section. And, some of the stuff they suggest, I go, holy crap, we really need to fix that. Good for raising that. We'll get that fixed as soon as we can. And there are other stuff I'll just say, that sounds really nice, but we're just not going to get to that anytime soon. So I think it's about being honest. Part of it is you can't set specific expectation. You can't say May 18th, this is going to roll out. Once we get closer, I do start being a little more transparent of what's coming down the pipeline. But for example, like what's coming in May, we just can't, we know what we're targeting, but to promise anybody that we're going to, and publicly state we're going to do that, it's setting yourself up to end up either being seen as a liar or somebody who doesn't deliver on their promises. So I just try to be honest where I can.
Well, what about conventions then? Because you're in Boston. Boston's a great area for conventions. I mean, how are you promoting yourself con-wise?
So this is a new area. We haven't started on the con area because of the costs. I mean, believe it or not, we've had a lot of our artists show up at cons, and at least our current thinking, we haven't set any plans yet, but we're looking at actually helping our artists at cons. So maybe giving them tchotchkes and T-shirts and flyers to give out. I think we think that would be more effective than paying to fly out to people, to live in a hotel and set up a booth at, Anime Boston or Comic Con or whatever, because, we're still a young company and the costs of that are still, it's hard to justify for now. So, I mean, I might change my mind on that, but to be honest, we think that it's better to help find ways to give stuff to help artists out at the con than for us to show up ourselves. But hey, I might get an email from you next week telling me I should do that. But for now,
I'm going to straight say to you should be doing that.
Okay.
Just in the sense for even if you take a small table,
but
that's close by Artist Alley or something like that. Even if you grab a couple of local Boston creators that happen to be on your site.
Sure.
It's not like it just...
That's the thing I do. Maybe like offer to pay to set up the booth, but the challenge is also manning the booth. You always have to have somebody there. But yeah, you know what? I appreciate that. I'll give that some thought.
And then he says, "Screw that! I'm not doing it." I'm kidding.
No, actually, yeah. That's our artists. Our artists have, we have a ton of artists attending Otakon, Comic-Con. I mean, there are definitely quite a few cons that our artists all attend. So actually setting up a booth is just for them to be able to use actually is actually pretty much in line with what we say. So I'll have to look at that actually. There's just so many things going on. You just never have enough time to want to do all the things you want to. It's just, there's always 19,000 things you want to do, and people suggest new ideas and you think, why the heck didn't I think of that before?
Well, that's the joy of being the CEO. You can choose what you want to do for your company,
Yeah, it's the challenge of publishing as well. There's just so many things you need to do. You're not just selling T-shirts, or you're not a limousine service, or you're not a Twitter where you're just focusing on delivering the message. It's about you're managing two sides, the reader and the artist, and there's just so many things you have to do right, and that's the biggest challenge, I think. People want so many things to be able to make their lives easier, and it's just a never-ending list on both sides, both buyers and authors.
Now, when it comes to this business, obviously, you've been in other companies. I mean, I was a tech guy as well for a good 15 years, so I know what you're going through.
Oh, great.
Which is why I'm going back to school for visual arts, communication, media, and film. So
it's a great idea. Okay.
I didn't want to kill the people I was supporting, so But when you've been out west, you've been out east, you've survived a good number of years in the IT industry, and for those that have never been in it, when you ask about computer problems, we usually bang our heads against the desk and then answer your question. That's how it normally works.
I was thinking more of a brick wall, but yeah, a desk works too.
Yeah, we had plywood, so what can I say?
Yeah.
You've survived the gauntlet when it comes to that stuff here.
Sure.
Moving on to a CEO of this business is definitely the next step up, I believe. When it comes to your coworkers, when the people you work with directly, especially with your co-founder, compromise is always necessary when it comes to this business, especially in the publishing industry.
Yeah.
How do you manage working with someone that's so far away? And yes, I understand the internet helps.
So we have a lot of trust between the two of us. That's why we set it up this way. It's a little bit unique. You don't tend to hear technology companies, have teams, located globally. So I've known my co-founder since he was one of the groomsmen at my wedding. I've known him since high school, so we've known each other for many years, decades now. So there's a lot of trust. I would trust him with my life. So that was a key portion to how this works. Also, we split our responsibilities very clearly. So while I help set direction for product and design and technology, he's the one who manages it on a day-to-day basis. And then I take care of community, marketing, content. So we have very clear separation of responsibilities, and there's just a ton of trust that happens there. And a lot of late nights. I definitely have one of the weirder sleeping schedule than I would hope for, and he has the same thing. So most of our community managers will probably say they've seen me online at 2-3 in the morning, and the same thing for my co-founder as well. It's just it's just sort of it's a cost of having to do international business, but the benefits the benefits are just endless. I mean, our book printing service that we're trying to launch now is one thing that, being able to use book printers in Thailand, the cost there is incomparable to the United States. I mean, it's just shipping costs, labor costs. It allows even a small company like us to be able to launch a service like this that if you were in the US, you'd never be able to consider financially feasible for a young startup.
Wait, shipping costs are cheaper from Thailand?
So you have to weigh it out, right? So the airmail cost for a book from Thailand to the United States is a little bit higher than mailing an airmail package from within the United States, but then it's not enough to offset the savings in labor and printing costs. So that's sort of how we're balancing out. So we're subsidizing a bit on the shipping because we know that we're making enough money on the cost on the cost of selling a book. So that's one of the unique things we've discovered is setting up our technical team in Thailand. Originally, it was really simple. My co-founder's Thai. Thai developers are cheaper than Americans or Canadians, unfortunately. And we're not trying to build a Google. We don't have this ultra secret algorithm that's going to change the world. It's all about the step by step. You're trying to build a platform with all the services and features that authors want, and get it out as quickly as you can. So we're not doing anything absolutely out of this world. It's about the incremental improvements. It's about constantly moving forward and delivering on what our users ask for.
I keep thinking about this company you created, and
sure.
and the creation of the company itself, it must have been one of those things where you're drinking with your partner, your co-founder, or we're saying, dude, we really got to set up a publishing company. It's going to be on the internet. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to, hey, wait for it. It's going to be about manga and anime. What do you think about that? Tell me that's not how it worked out.
Yeah, definitely not quite like that. My co-founder and I both really wanted to start a business, and that was always our focus. And so when we started researching on what to do, I mean, at the beginning, there's no way we were going to say, oh, it's going to be about comics and manga, nothing else. No, I mean, we looked at everything, and we both huge comic and manga fans, and we saw that, especially my co-founder coming from Amazon, we saw that the digital publishing realm there was a lot of changes coming along. And it wasn't changes where some guy is going to come in, do one specific thing, and suddenly it's going to revolutionize the business. It's going to be a lot of, small incremental steps that are going to change this industry. And, it matches our personality really well. People always ask us, do you have any industry expertise? No, we don't. And that is one of our weaknesses, don't get me wrong. But do we think that's going to hinder the success of our company? No. I mean, if we deliver on exactly what people think helps them reach their audience, helps them make it easier to continue to focus on their art and not on the other day-to-day stuff that they really don't enjoy doing, that's really what's going to make our company succeed. And so that's why we decided to jump into this. Did it involve a few pints? From time to time, yeah. Between the co-founder, other people on our team, it's just, there was a lot, it was definitely a lot of thinking.
Thinking, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Thinking. But it's been we've had a lot of, we've taken a lot of different steps, and it's definitely not been a straight path. Some entrepreneurs might speak to will say, I had this vision, I had this dream, and it would be exactly what it is now. No, can't say that was us. And I can promise you, if you talk to us 6 months from now, I'll probably say slightly different things about, our goal is still the same, but how are we going to achieve that exactly? We'll adjust on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis.
That's good to hear. Truly, that is. It means you're adaptable to the situations that are going to throw curveballs at you.
I hope so. Either that or take a curveball in the face. We'll see which one it is.
As long as it's not a tomato, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or other type of vegetable/fruits.
Yeah.
Then you can make a Cobb salad, but that's beside the point. Is there anything that I haven't been able to bring up, or that you'd like to let your employees, I should say, as well as your manga people that are part of your site, and those that may look at Mangamagazine and say, you know what, this seems like the company that is for me. I like what you've said so far.
Yeah.
How can you sell me?
I mean, if you talk to any of our artists, we're very personable. We work very closely with every single one of our artists at the top tier, our premium featured artists. We work very closely. We want to help them succeed. So we're still a young company. If you come to our website, there's a billion things that are still missing that we wish are on there. You come from IT, you know that there's always things people want and that you just can't deliver. So we're a young and growing company. We have a lot of things happening in the background. Our iPad app is currently in development. We have a book printing service currently being developed. So there are a lot of things that you don't see on our site that we would love to tell you about that, we just can't publicly state all over the place because we don't know what's going to happen. But we're really trying to do a lot of very exciting things, and there is no risk. The way we've set it up, there shouldn't be any risk. It's a commitment of time on your side and a commitment of time on our side. We don't sign any contracts for that reason, so that we don't have to make any promises that we have to break. And on the other hand, authors, they just have to evaluate what how much time it would take to set up on our site, and we try to make it really easy. So, the way we like to tell authors when they're considering us is give us a try first, and then if you don't like it, no harm, no foul, no hurt feelings, but we'd at least like to let you see what happens behind the scenes and how we try to help you.
Awesome. Cool stuff. And now that you've said that, is there anything that I haven't brought up that you'd like to let the fans know?
No, I think that's about it. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me. We're trying really hard. You know how webcomics and manga goes. Everybody tries to get their story out, try to make sure that there's everybody understands what they're trying to do. So I really appreciate people like yourselves helping promote the industry. It's really important.
Oh, not a problem. That's what I'm here for. That's what started this all 5 years ago, and still going strong. But Victor, truly, it is an honor and pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you so much for being and taking the time out of your schedule to be here.
It was great talking to you.
And that ends this episode of TGT Media. Tune in next week when we are talking with the ever verbose but ever awesome and fun Dirk Manning from Right or Wrong. We're talking about his book to finish off Author Month. And of course, hey, we're busy for pretty much the rest of the year as well. You can always go to our website, tgtmedia.com. You can always see us on iTunes. You can email me, kurt@tgtmedia.com. And you can see me on the Twitters as well. So it's all good. You can, of course, see victorchu's amazing hard work and thousands or hundreds of thousands of really awesome manga people at mangamagazine.net. And have a great night, everyone.
Thanks, Kurt.